All right. It looks like we have a quorum. Looks like we have some newcomers as well. One of the things we always do, if you're a newcomer and you'd like to say hello, please do so now.
Hi, John. Good morning. This is Kiran here from Real Variable. This is the first time we are participating, so a big hello to everybody here on the call. We would love to contribute and be a part of this baseline team and see how we can add value to the community as a supply chain blockchain expert company. Thank you.
So you're a supply chain company. That's cool. Where are you based?
We are based out of India and US, and I'm based out of India, so I'm logging in from India here.
Wow.
And we have a team here in India as well as the US, and we are working on some interesting supply chain related products which we would come to at an appropriate point of time.
Terrific. Boy, there's been a surge in Indian companies involved. So it's about midnight there for you, right?
Yeah, it's around 9:30. It's fine. Oh. That's okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
9:30 p.m. Yeah. Yeah.
It's that half-hour thing that gets me.
Yeah. But it's a privilege and an honor to be a part of the team, John, and we really thank you for inviting us for this, and we'll love to contribute going further.
Well, thank you for being here. It's I think the honor is ours for everybody that joins. Anybody else?
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. My name is Tyler Farnett. I'm a software engineer at Consensus Health. I work with Bill Gleim, and I'm here to dig a little deeper into baseline and start to brainstorm how it can be applied to privacy preserving analytics in the healthcare space, broadly speaking.
It's great to see you, Tyler. Well, actually, nobody's on screen. Is that the new thing? Like, is everybody just sick of being seen on screen? Like, nobody wants to turn their cameras on anymore, which is fine, by the way.
I was in dire need of a haircut there for a while.
Yeah, I think that must be it. I think the incidence of screens cams going on.
I think I saw a statistic on cognitive load 30 minutes into your first video conversation during the day is overloaded.
Yeah, right.
I'll see if I can find the stat.
Makes sense. Okay. Well, so having gone through that, I'm just going through our agenda items here. And hang on. Steering committee meetings. I should have gotten this up. I was helping our kids with school about 5 minutes ago, so I'm apologize. I'm a little behind here. There we go. Okay, so steering committee agenda meetings. Yeah, we got the word that we had to have the kids home for the next week and a half. Somebody got sick, so we're having fun being teachers.
Welcome to the South Africa strain.
Yes. Okay, so, yep. All right, so maintainer and standards team. I could have remembered that. I didn't need to actually look it up, but all right, let's go with maintainers and standards. Maintainers first. Is Sam on?
Yes, I'm here.
Hey there, Sam.
Hey.
What have you got?
No updates in terms of adding or removing anybody from the maintainers team, but we're this week, I think Wednesday is our deadline to finish all the judging for the hackathon. So a lot of the maintainers are actively doing that, and looks like we're on pace to, I think, finish judging by Wednesday and reward all the prizes by that point. So that's a lot of our ongoing work for this week and last week.
Right on. But people who are judges, and Sam, I guess you can ringlead this in our next section here. Judges we haven't made decisions yet. We will make them, and and announce them on Wednesday during the baseline show at noon, US Eastern. We got some pretty good turnout. Certainly have made a lot of new friends. Sam, how is it going?
Yeah, I think it's going well. Yeah, I'm involved in judging 2 out of the 7, so I'm not plugged into all of the bounties or challenges equally. But yeah, I think we had some good submissions, and even outside of the submissions, made some good connections, and people are working on stuff that they didn't necessarily submit for the hackathon, but it kind of helped pull people in and increase interest in the project.
Right on. Do we have decisions on any of them yet?
Yeah, I believe so. We had a Slack channel going amongst the judges, and it looks like some people have identified the submissions that they want to award. So yeah, I think a couple of them are completed, and a few more should be done by Wednesday.
Do you see that? How about maintainers? Do you see any maintainers coming out of this experience?
Yeah, I've reached out to one person in particular, and I'll have to talk to Kyle. I know he's been collaborating with some people and helping answer questions related to the hackathon. So can talk to Kyle and the other maintainers and see if anybody else wants to nominate someone to join the team.
Right on. Anything else?
No, that's it for me.
Let me make a suggestion that perhaps the maintainers can generate like an OKR that they can report to on the board on new maintainers getting on board. And if we're slipping from that OKR, then we can take some measures to accelerate it. I think it'll be easy. I think that, even if you put an aggressive number on there, I think, monthly or quarterly, I think circumstances are going to support achieving it, because so many more companies now are I was on a call with a company, notable product last week. And I said, I promise you, you're going to start to see your customers asking for your product to be baselined. And they immediately looked back and said, they already are. And I went, well, okay. So there you go. And as people's livelihoods become more dependent upon, the standard working and the reference implementation being good and tools being there, you're going to see a lot more maintainers wanting to come in. But we should do everything we can to promote that. I know Cale Teeter's still on deck for that, right?
Yes, yeah, we'd love to have Cale join the team if and when he's ready.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think the rule is good, right? That everybody's got to submit at least one pull request, and Cale should do that. I'm sure he's up to it, and hope that gets done. Anything else?
That's it from my side.
Any questions from the gallery? Okay, moving on to Brian posted. Are you med school? Oh, okay, yeah. So are you feeling zoomed out? You're not alone. Yeah, I think I think we are. The only thing but now I'm so zoomed that anytime somebody asks me to join any other platform, I'm like, what? How do I do that? Okay, so now on to standards. Anais?
Hello. Yes, there are no specific updates this week. We carry on working on the API specification, and we are making good progress on that.
Terrific. I know that there were a couple of companies that are interested in getting into the standards body. Hopefully they're approaching you. I always send them your way.
Yes.
Could you describe to people, just for the record, how would one get onto the standards team? Because that's one of the teams that we don't make fully public on the web or in live stream or any of that.
I think at that point, the easiest way is probably to contact me. And there is the ICLA and the ECLA, depending on if they want to cover the company itself or the team. And we can share the link. And of course, they can, reach out to anybody in the team. But if they can find me, I'm usually quite responsive, so that should be okay.
Right on. Yeah. So the rule is you have to have signed the ICLA, or one way to do that is just to do a pull request, and then you can be invited, and you're controlling the kind of like the steering committee. You just have to contact us, and we'll add you to the list, right?
Yes. Once I have the list of people that want to attend, I can forward the invite to them.
I keep on thinking there's got to be a better way than just having to, because I'm sure you feel the same way. There's a little bit of key person risk here. If I didn't show up for the steering committee meeting, or if I wasn't, adding people to it, I'm sort of a bottleneck. And it'd be nice to have some kind of form-based tool, but right now I don't have an answer on that. I guess I'm mentioning it here in case anybody thinks of a good way for us to do that. Please let
Google
us know.
Form.
Well, it's
John,
not so much
a
just
Google
a
form that goes to.
Yeah, so the link
I
is
mean,
on
at
the
least we have a
repo.
pipeline.
Yeah, the link is on the repo, but I think people just don't know how to find it. So maybe this could be included like on the front page or something. It might, because even myself, a few months ago, I had to look for it or reading the documentation to understand I need to do the PR. So
that's, I think, okay. No, it's really getting on those two meetings. The steering committee meeting is a calendar invite that I send out. I think the same thing with your standards committee meeting, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is fine, but it would be nice to be able to, like, if you or I suddenly dropped out off the face of the earth for some reason, it'd be nice that it was more, something that was in a system. But I really don't have an answer on that way of doing it.
List server and rollover files.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I think that's what I was thinking about. Anybody interested in helping out on that, please contact us, and we'll.
Yeah, I'm happy to do a Google form where people can put in the request and they go in one spreadsheet that everybody on the steering committee has access to. And then you can, it's like if someone cannot act on them, then we'll just review them on a regular, like whatever, weekly or monthly schedule, and then be done with it.
Yeah, I think that might be one way to do it. We'll take this offline. I tried doing some of those sorts of things early in the piece, but got a little nervous about private information and where it was being stored. But again, we'll look into that. All right, so that's the standards team, and it's quite exciting to see what's going on with the standards team day to day. So if anybody is interested in being involved with that, please do so. It's really quite good. Moving on to hackathon, we talked to Sam a little bit about the hackathon status. We have finished, and the votes will be in, or the judging will be done. And can you be sure that all the judges get their answers in, say, by this time tomorrow, so that we can prep and get folks ready for Wednesday?
Yes. Yeah, I can help communicate with everybody and make sure we're clear on who's being awarded the prizes. Everybody
really ought to give Sam some good feeling. He's been doing things above and beyond the call, organizing the maintainer team, and we're really grateful for that. So thank you, Sam.
Good job, Sam.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Sam for the win.
Yeah, Sam for the win. Let's talk about, so there's two things on the roadmap discussion. One is, still haven't gotten a volunteer to help clean up the backlog in the roadmap. So I'm just going to keep on asking until somebody gets inspired.
John?
Don't everybody raise their hands at once.
I wanted to ask if people who actually created issues can just clean what is assigned to them.
Well, I think that's a really good. So what would be great is to have somebody like Sam's doing with the maintainers ringlead that. And I'd kind of like it if it was a maintainer that was doing it. because one of the things I think that and this is every operation, even just inside of a company, seems like the technical backlog and the technical work that's being done in the repo and the issues and then especially issues to epics, the connection between those things is between pull requests, issues, and epics can be really hard to have discipline on. Anybody disagree with that? I'm happy to be wrong, but that's been my experience.
Hey, John, it's Dan.
Hey, Dan.
I'm happy to go through the Epic backlog and reach out to people and see what's hot and what's not.
That'd be great, Dan. Thanks.
Sure.
Dan, can I suggest you just add comments to say if there has not been any activity on an issue for, let's say a month, you just ping them and say that this issue is going to be closed within a week if there's no activity.
Yeah. That's probably the first line of defense, and then probably after that, if there's no answer, listen, I can always hit them up on Slack and just
close it.
Yeah,
just close it.
That's great. Yeah, and Dan, you're right. Yeah, if you can just be the ringleader and get people to self-clean, that'd be a big deal. But also perhaps sometime in February or March, maybe you can come back with people and report in on what, where, let's kind of reboot that.
Yeah.
I think, again, as companies start getting in, they're going to want to see, okay, what's the roadmap? That really tells the story about where we're going and how they can get involved.
I like the roadmap aspect. I think it's good.
All right, Dan Norkin, officially roadmap person of the month. So put us to work. Tell me what to do and I'll do it for you. Okay. Thank you, Dan. Let's talk about incentives. So going forward, and this is tightly tied to the roadmap, there is going to be an opportunity. I'm finishing a document right now. This is on my list of things to do for the project governance board, which is, if anybody doesn't know, we have a structure where we have maintainers, we have members or community members, contributors. We have maintainers. We have the technical steering committee, which is a subset of the people on this call. We only have one meeting now called the steering committee, which is an open meeting, but some of the folks on the call are technical steering committee members. The TSC is an elected position for a year. Next elections are in September of this year now. And there is some talk about, making changes to the charter on that, maybe, go to 6-month things like that, or being able to switch out more easily. But that is our general structure. You can see all of this stuff in our docs.baseline-protocol.org and go into the, there's a governance chapter in there. In that, and then we have the project governance board above the TSC. And I was asked to write a paper on incentive program. That is beyond the job or beyond sponsorships, and we are getting more and more sponsorships. What else can we do to incentivize work without going over the line of, kind of going past the boundary of what good open source operation is? So for example, you wouldn't want something where people who with a lot of money could pay to dominate the work that's going on. You always want a sort of a level of indirection there. You don't want to deprioritize certain work simply because somebody else got on a list of funded work. There's all sorts of things that I've been collecting in terms of insights and rules around incentives. But I think in general, people feel that, and some significantly sized organizations, institutions are saying, yeah, we want to make sure that this is the year of the mainnet for the enterprise. And we think that Baseline is if not the thing that's going to be driving a lot of that on the operations side, short of DeFi. And so, we want to incentivize a lot of work to improve the baseline protocol and to lift all the boats. And so now this, if we're going to go into that, we have to have good rules for incentives. And what this means is there will be money for things to do. I will finish that document in the next week. If anyone has thoughts about how an incentive program should run, you should let me know. And we can put our heads together, we can get a meeting, we can talk about it. And I'll put that in the document for everybody to review. At the end of it, we will have the ability, hopefully, to say, hey, you can sponsor the Oasis board. You can put money into that so that we are able to keep the lights on, and Oasis can support us as a foundation or as a governance body. But you can also put money in to an incentive program. I'll stop. I'm actually over my time. I've got a little grandstanding button here that I push. And it's flashing red, so I'll stop talking and ask anybody for comment.
Any incentive program needs also the corresponding disincentives in order to get to Nash equilibrium. So key thing is you need to build in residual claimancy. So that's pretty much the only thing that you need: disincentives and residual claimancy. And then with those two things in mind, you can go at it. Happy to take a look at it and comment, review.
Yeah, would you like to say more about residual claimancy for folks who might not know the subject?
Sure. Residual claimancy just simply says that after all outstanding claims are settled, a participant in a network or in a game still has skin in the game, which means you can lose out if you're not behaving properly for the good of the for the overall good, for the overall purpose. And there are other things that are coming into things like altruistic self-policing, blah blah blah. But it's like the key things is you need, if you have an incentive, you also need to have a balancing disincentive, and you need to ensure that there's residual claimancy, so that everybody who participates maintains skin in the game that is valuable to them and means something if it were lost. Otherwise, you're not. It's problematic. You'll always have people who will try to game and collude and try to take advantage of the thing you have constructed. Case in point, every single game theoretic construct out in the DeFi space has been exploited. So it's just saying that it's very, 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 very hard to construct these things, and especially if
humans are good at getting around their own rules, aren't they?
That is true, and collaborative end player games is an especially tough category.
Very well. Other thoughts? Thank you, Andreas.
Andreas said everything that I had planned to say, so no, I'm just kidding. It was well said, Andreas. Thank you.
Right on. I suspect, as I've been boiling this down, I'll give you a little bit of a preview. I think that what the steering committee meeting twice a month is going to get to be really, at least one of them a month, it will start to be really interesting to attend, because I think what we'll be able to do is put a segment called Pitch Your Project, right? Where we have a tranche of money for the month, and that tranche of money will have rules on it, like limits and things like that. The the TSC will be responsible to decide whether or not the pitch gets the funding. And then it'll be a little bit like a Gitcoin grant or a Gitcoin bounty probably administrated through something like Gitcoin, or at least you know, run through that interface. And that would mean that anybody could come and pitch a project with a start date and an end date and a set of deliverables, and that could be on anything from documentation to you know, the only thing it probably can't be about is, say, you couldn't, you know, you can't, we're all volunteers, we can't pay a committee chairman or chairperson to be the chair of something, or you know, and Oasis covers our operational needs, and that's why we still need sponsors, is to make sure that they're well covered in that. We've asked Oasis for sort of a set of tiers, like if we get to a certain level of sponsorship in a year, will we, you know, can we get like pro Slack instead of regular Slack, things like that, you know, additional things that kind of we qualify for as we have more and more sponsorship. But that's for operations. And that's governed through Oasis. But, you know, to incentivize pieces of work would be inbounds. And that's probably the simplest way that we can go about doing it.
John, are you envisioning that these projects will be put into like two different categories? One that is sort of like as a public utility work, so that everybody is going to use or can use, versus sort of like proprietary work that is, it's still important, but that is going to yield a proprietary monetizable solution for the individual for the project? Is that
yeah, so proprietary monetizable solutions, of course, should be paid for by those who, so if somebody has an interest in having something built that is not going back into the open source work, most of the time, I should think, and this is part of the writing I'm doing, most of the time that would be not something that we could allocate, right? But some private party could say, hey, I really want this done, and go pay for it. That's perfectly fine. And it would just have nothing to do with this body, right? Or officially at least. And some of the people in this body might go do that work and get paid for it, but that's different than allocating incentive money that has been entrusted to this community and this organization. So I think, you know, I'm writing it this way as, you know, PGB and the TSC may have the discretion in very specific circumstances that may arise to fund something that doesn't go back into the open source. But that would be very, you know, a very unusual, and I have a hard time imagining a case where that would be appropriate, but it's theoretically possible. So the TSC, we will do this in the open, transparently, so that the TSC, if things look weird to somebody, they can bring it up and say, no, I don't like what's going on here, and we can use transparency as an antiseptic to make sure that the TSC and the PGB are allocating those funds honestly. Any other questions or thoughts? This is a good time to bring them up. Just for fun, anybody have thoughts on what they would like to see incentivized?
Things like public marketplace for attestations would be a good thing, because that can flow into many different use cases, and it's also a significant piece in the Ethereum ecosystem that is missing, and that prevents also companies from utilizing mainnet. A utility for you know, there's needs to be work done around standardization for layer 2, you know, maybe a layer 2 public utility that is an overlay network that can be utilized, things like that.
Right on. That's a pretty good one. We should write that one up. I think there is a part of a write-up on that. I think that's good. What else? Kel, you got any ideas? Sam, Brian, Charlie?
Are you asking about specific features within the baseline repo that you would want to pay people to contribute to?
Yeah, it's sort of like a really big version of the hackathon, only on a case basis, with a lot more money involved.
So would it be presented as like a bounty type of challenge? Or?
Yeah, somebody could propose their own bounty, and we would then, as a body, decide on whether or not that got funded and to what level. So I'm working on a scheme that I will propose to the community about how we would, what questions we would ask, and what are the criteria, and what are the guidelines or the guide wires, and the out of bounds areas.
I think there may be at least one or two of the bounties on this hackathon that didn't have any submissions that fulfilled all the requirements. So potentially some of those, and then maybe that should be a regular discussion topic for the maintainers every week, is to brainstorm about things they would like to see added to the repo, but don't necessarily have the time or expertise to do it themselves.
That sounds like a really good idea. Yeah, that would be a nice segment on the maintainers call. What do we want to see built, and should we publicize an incentive program for that thing? So we could do it in the reverse, right? Somebody could come to us with what they want to do. We could also put up on the webpage, on the website, and on GitHub, of course. We could put up, hey, these are the things that we would fund if you wanted to do them. And then that could look a lot like a bounty.
John, I think that's an interesting idea. Another question from me is there anywhere right now that like has a list of everyone using Baseline, and like almost like a demo page, like but more on from a kind of marketing perspective? So you're a big company, you come to the Baseline website, and it's like, wow, look at all these companies and look at all these interesting projects being done. Like, where is there somewhere that's doing that right now?
Funny you should say that. It is. This is actually the last topic on the minutes, or on the agenda. We'll be getting into it in a second, which is what do we do about our first year anniversary? And one of the things I've been planning for the first year anniversary is one more turn of the screw on our website, where we would have a baselined products and services listing, right? Just as a service to people that are. So you have all sorts of products and things that are already baselined. You have services. You've got, Daniel Norkin's team in Envision will sell you services around dynamics and other things for system integration on a baseline project. Provide, of course, has the Provide stack. They'll sell you that. Consensus has those Envira services, especially things like the new gas service that's coming up, ITX, I think is what it's called.
We're also releasing like a shuttle refresh a bit later in the month. That is sort of a freemium thing where you can hop on there and I think kind of achieve the outcome that you're asking about, which is can you just get on and interact with a baseline protocol somewhere?
Right. LimeChain also is doing baseline services. Accenture will say baseline services, I believe. Ernst & Young has the OpsChain product. So there's more and more things that are getting baselined. There's a couple of them that I'd love to mention that I don't think I would be right in mentioning right now. I'll let them do it for themselves. So yeah, there's lots of this. And I think there's enough to put on a web page at this point. Does anybody disagree?
John, I think that sounds good. I don't know if you guys remember a few years ago, the original State of the dApps website. I don't know if you guys remember that. It was like a really simple like one page that had all these tiles, and every tile was like a different dApp that people were creating on Ethereum. And it was just a cool website. I just wonder whether you could have something kind of similar here, rather than just like a list of like, oh, this is a product, this is a service, blah, blah, blah. Just have like a little like landing page that just has like little, you know, yeah, just like a fun way to just show, hey, here's like 30, 50 different things that are doing like cool stuff with Baseline. Just click on it and go through to their demo or go to their site, you know, just like something like that.
I like it.
Yeah, the thing
We'll get there. We'll get there.
This is Kale. Yeah, the thing I liked about that one too was they used to put little like metadata, like there was little tiles in there basically, and it had metadata about the project, like this thing's fully in production, or this thing's in like research phase, those kind of things. So it was very easy for you to like come in and say, you know, to use the supply chain thing or something to say, hey, I'm in supply chain and I want to see what's going on in Baseline. So I could just do a search there and I could see what stuff's in production, what stuff's in experimental research phase, you know, et cetera. So like that was always really good because you could easily find what you're looking for quickly. And John, like to the other thing was like incentivizing or bounties. Question I have there is like, so if we have like smaller bite-sized things, right, that are like bountyable, and you say, hey, I would love to see this built, but we don't have time, or so we should put this out and fund it. And you get someone from college or, you know, someone like that who's coming and kind of doing point work, they're getting paid to do it. That's great. But like, what about like, is there other ones like we want to kind of say, kind of, I don't know how you say it, like kind of support them so that they could grow right into a real startup. A lot of times like folks who are coming into this space will say, that's really cool, I want to work on it. And then they start building a business around it. Right. And so supporting them kind of like we do with Microsoft, where it's like, yeah, you can put your stuff on Azure, but like the bigger thing is, hey, we have all these businesses that talk to us. And if we can get you kind of listed back to this thing of like having this page, that can get them some eyes, right? To say like, hey, they got this cool thing over here and they're doing Baseline, so other people can look at them. So this all kind of ties together in my mind, but like, it's more like promoting folks who are working on it so that they can get bigger, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, in fact, I mean, we toyed with the idea of a catalyzing fund where, so first, you know, what I heard is, yeah, promoting the people. In fact, I should mention that I'm working with Sam and the team to find some of the hackathon people that would like to do one-on-one interviews, you know, sort of the code don't lie type of program that I've been fooling with Kyle Ellicott and others. So I was thinking we would do some nicely produced one-on-ones with some of those folks and then promote them a bit. And you know, if somebody doesn't want to do that, that's fine too. So we definitely want to promote work. And I'm going to start doing a lot more of that this year. We're just going to do little interviews, publish them on YouTube with people that are doing real work. But on top of that, it's unlikely that the incentive program that is being contemplated would be allowed to. This would be one of the guidelines, you know, kind of the edge of the box would be we can't fund work that would be commercially funded. So in other words, can't fund a project that's trying to pitch a company to buy a product or a project or a solution. If, you know, the company's got to buy the product or a solution. But I had this thought that, well, in the early days, it's nice to catalyze that with a little bit of money for maybe the POC, just to kind of kickstart some of these projects. But it's turning out that that's not necessarily needed a lot, and where it is, that would be something that a private party or a private individual or organization could do. We just can't administrate it through this organization, through this body, I don't think. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Love to see that, right? I'd love to see somebody say, hey, you know, if you have a Baseline project, we will put in this much money if you do it like Coca-Cola or Cocoa in North America did, where they started the project in public, we'll kick in some amount to kickstart it. The question is that really the
we'll have that conversation later, John. It's very cool.
Right?
Just kidding.
Yeah, if I had bajillions, I would do that. But I think a lot of people, I kind of floated that idea around, and they're like, what prevents a big company, say, from doing a project isn't really about the money. Like if they want to do it, they've got the money. And getting them prioritized and doing enablement work like Nick Kritikos is doing with Tracy and others in the community. And that is our primary focus in the sort of the core is getting enablement materials for solutions providers and products to be able to very quickly prove that somebody ought to be doing baseline, and then close that deal and get and start delivering. So tools, materials, PowerPoints, all that stuff. That's really the next 2 quarters, this quarter and the next quarter, are going to be all about that. I think everybody agrees. Nick, did you want to say something about that? Nope. Here, I'll flip this over to gallery view. Yeah. Yeah, does that make sense?
Sorry, John, I was trying to jump in there. Just the same time my kid called with another flat tire on my car.
Oh no.
Yeah, and now my headset's dead. So just by way of enablement, we are trying to get more programmatic and kind of more regular on how we do enablement. We've had a number of requests from individual companies, and we've done some of it, of course. And then this week, Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, the enablement team is going to do a dry run of the business
private network champions. So if you want to participate in that, let me know. You can go to the enablement Slack channel and just ping me, and I'll add you to that and get the dry run. The goal is to get more and more people essentially enabled or trained on being able to deliver these materials so that we can scale out as we go. We'll start to run some of these sessions on a regular periodic basis. And then over time, we will have not only the business and technical overview, which we already have, but a hands-on implementation workshop that we can run as well. So sorry, kids, you gotta love kids. They always call it the most inopportune time.
No worries. Yeah, so I think that's pretty exciting, and it's going to help a lot of people close deals. But yeah, I mean, if I guess I'm mentioning the whole catalyzing thing to, if maybe somebody is listening to this, they get excited about that on their own. That might be something that they want to, let people know. We certainly could publicize it. We could say, yeah, if you want to, here's this party over here that will help you kickstart your project. That'd be pretty cool. Does anybody disagree with the notion that would not be something that this body should be getting in the business of doing itself? All right, that's the longest pause that I can stand doing. So
Negative consent, John. Negative.
Yep.
Consent.
No, I've become a fan of the pause. Okay, so the last thing that we have to talk about today is the annual, the 1 year anniversary. Before I go there, are there any other agenda items that anybody wants to bring up today? A 3, 2, 1. Okay. All right. Good. Then, 1 year anniversary coming up, March. It'd be great to do some pretty exciting stuff. We've got some announcements that are cooking up. That'd be nice to put out around that time. New projects that people are doing. This would be a good time to start getting them on the dock. I'd like to remind everybody that while anybody can announce anything whenever they want on their own, if you want to announce some release of a demo or a project or a new enhancement to the baseline protocol, and you want to do that with Oasis and with this body, then and in particular, if you want to have good press, you need to have the discipline of getting it to us 2 weeks in advance solidly, and really better if it's 3, so that we can put out an embargoed press release to reporters so that they have enough time to write the stories properly. If you do it last minute, we're not going to get good coverage. We'll just put out the press release. It'll be a Medium article or something, and that's it. Or reporters start getting things wrong, and they don't have time to come back to us for clarification, and so they'll tell your story wrong. And sometimes we've had that experience of. Thanks, Kyle. Take care.
Thanks, John.
So, yeah, if you've got things in the hopper, in the cooker, make sure that you let me know, or let another member of the TSC know, so that we can get our machine kicked into gear. And I'm always happy to help write a press release for anybody that would like that help. Any questions there? Okay, last 10 minutes. Let's do a little brainstorm about what things we could do for the anniversary. Any thoughts? I need a little
Zoom social hour.
Zoom social hour for it.
In addition to kind of reflecting back on all the good events, right? The milestones, the launch, the additions of sponsors, the 0.1 release, the BRI1, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All of those things. It's been a very the summit itself, right? The hackathon. I'm just going off the top of my head, and it's already getting me all jazzed up.
Yeah, I sure did like that summit. We might go and get Kiko Chat again. Does anybody not like that framework? Anybody that was on the Kiko Chat summit that we did in November? Hit me offline if you have any thoughts on an alternative. But I think Nick, I think you liked it a lot, right?
Yeah, it was incredibly functional, and I thought it served our purposes very well. Is it the most polished or slickest interface? No, but at the same time, my experience with things that are more polished require a lot more management overhead and kind of people to behind the scenes to keep it running, right? Quigo Chat worked pretty well for what we used it for. At least I thought so.
Yeah, I agree. It was good.
Speaking of summit, we need to plan the next one. If we want to do one if we want to do like 2 a year, we should, the next one is in May, which is, if my calendar serves me well, just around the corner. So we probably should get going. So on that one.
Earlier is better for sure. Yeah, I'm with you there, Andreas.
Yeah, agreed. So next meeting, I'd like to propose 2 things. First of all, I'd love it. Thank you, Dan, for volunteering for the cleanup. I think we're going to want to start to organize ourselves a little bit more. So we're going to want to in the next meeting, I'll propose a retrospective session for anybody that'd like to go deep, or a couple hours. We can do a retrospective on the last year. What worked, what didn't work, what could we do now, what can we expect? I think that we've already got a steering committee. What are the other committees? I find myself, for example, we have some amazing yeoman's work being done by folks that are volunteering around the marketing work, getting things out, social networking. And I found myself going, I haven't had real good rigor about keeping up with what they're doing and making sure they're well organized, well supported. So that we can double down on that. There's all sorts of functional attributes of this organization, especially as we start bringing the money in to support some of these things, both in terms of sponsorship and in terms of incentives that we're going to want to get onto. Just like, the Hyperledger organization, they have a sizable body of both professional staff and volunteers. Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Sam, for tuning in. So let's the next meeting, I'll put it on the agenda that we start to organize how we organize, as it were. We'll do that next time. But before then, it would be great if somebody would like to be the czar of the anniversary. So if anybody wants to step up for that, I'm not going to call for names right now. Think about it. I promise it will be minimal effort on your part, but it would be great to just have somebody sort of being the ringleader and telling people what to do. Sound good? Hey, Bill Gleim, it's nice to see you there. Harris.
Thank you, John.
Right on. Karen, it's good to see you. Lakshmi. I think that's it for us. We're gonna end 5 minutes early. Good for everybody. Yeah. So this is sort of the calm before the storm. Keep an eye on the hackathon announcement on Wednesday. If you want to be involved with that, let me know. And with that, happy February, everybody. Keep baselining.